What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Joe Chapo back in the building. Another edition of If They Only Knew. As always, we got your boy Main Light on the hill, out of the Bronx. What up, Main?
Yo, what's good, everybody? All my eye talkers, make sure y'all stand up. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe, hit that like, that share, even drop a comment, and make sure you get that bell. Because if you hit that bell, you'll get all our videos. Trust me.
Yeah. Today we got a wild episode. Two different ends of the spectrum, but almost similar in a way. But before we get into that, go on and introduce yourself, sir.
All right, man. My name's JARETT. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. Pretty much been here my whole life, man. I was a young Thundercat, turned out to be a full-on junkie, and then went to the Army, got it together, then decided, you know what, I'll just be a junkie loser again, do that for a little while. Then, you know, the feds were like, hey, man, we're going to need you for about 11 years. So I said, okay, and did 9.5 on an 11. And I've been home in about 18 months.
Well, shoot, let's slow down a little bit here. Yeah, that sounds like this is going to be a good story, good interview. Let's start from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you from, and how you came up.
All right, man. So I live in East Tennessee. You know, obviously you guys are New York cats. So I met a lot of New York cats when I was in the Army, met a lot more when I was in prison. Actually, one of my best friends when I was in prison was this dude named B-Baby. He was from Tribeca, and me and him were like this. So I got a lot of his whole vibe and picked up on it. But just a poor white kid from the sticks, man. And then I moved to the city. You know, we got about 200,000 people in my city, but I moved to the city about middle school. And then in high school, you know, just started doing drugs a little bit. And like, my body was like, hey man, these are really cool. Let's just keep doing them all the time. And I was like, okay. And you know, how that goes.
Was it like pills?
Yeah, of course. It's always pills with the white kids. You know what I mean?
I just know the body starts getting dependent on it. And
that's what it was, man. You know, we do coke in the winter, pills in the summer, and then it just turned into pills all the time. But you know, I was junior when 9/11 happened, and like a lot of rural kids, you know, like a lot of hillbilly kids, when that happened, you know, I still to this day have never been to New York, but when that happened, you know, like we took that shit personally, you know what I mean? Like they did it to our mom or our brother. So we were like, I was like, yo, man, let's go Army. Let's get in there as quick as we can. So I joined up in 2003. I waited on Bush to declare war. You know, obviously as a 36-year-old guy, I look back on it and see the fallacy of, you know, how that war and the whole thing perpetuated. And I was like, but you know, as a 19-year-old kid, I was like, hey man, go America. Let's do this.
What was that process like, going through boot camp? Did you go through boot camp and all that, like the same process?
Oh yeah. So I'd always I'd never been arrested before I went to the Army or the military or anything. So it was just, you know, I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for basic training. And, you know, the whole time the drills were just like, yo, man, you guys better take this shit serious because, you know, you're all going to go to war and some of you aren't going to come home. And maybe a lot of you aren't going to come home depending on what you do. So take this shit serious. And I did. You know, I really enjoyed it. It was a great way to experience America in the sense of, you know, the people from everywhere. You know, like I had guys in my best friend in basic was this kid. We were in basic and AIT together. His name was Josh Raby. He was from Hawaii.
Oh shit.
And he and I became like best friends. And when it was time to come home for Christmas break in 2003, they messed his dates up. So he was going to have to stay on the base during Christmas. And I called my mom. I was like, yo, my guy, he's going to get stuck here during Christmas. That's all I said to my mom. And she immediately was like, oh, this is your guy? I was like, yeah, this is this is a really good guy, Mom. She was like, tell him to fly to Knoxville. He can stay with us for 2 weeks and we'll treat him like a kid, a family member. So, you know, I got to experience a lot of America that I wouldn't have experienced just by the people I met, you know?
Yeah.
And then I ended up deploying in 2005. I met my best friend in the whole world in AIT at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri in 2004. He actually ended up being in my unit in Knoxville. He was from Clinton. I'm from Knoxville. It's about 25 minutes away. and we were thick as thieves, man, from 2004 to 2020 when he passed, man. And
oh man,
you know, so I mean, the Army, the biggest regret I have with the Army is not staying in it. But you know, I got home from the deployment, started doing dope again, and you know, it was just like they were like, "Yo, you can't be a junkie and be in the Army." You know, that didn't work.
So they gave you a discharge?
Yeah. So
it was honorable?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So what happened, we deployed December 24th, 2018. I'm sorry, December 24th, 2004. We came home December 24th, 2005. So pretty much the entire calendar year of 05, we were deployed.
Yeah.
Now overseas, I picked up immediately. I did heavy equipment operator. Like I wasn't some like infantryman badass. I was, you know, we did roads and built bases for the badasses and all that. But I learned, I saw early on, like, yo, if you're on our home base, you're going to get stuck on the home base if you shine on the home base. So when we're at the home base, I would bullshit around and, you know, get bitched at and all that. Yeah. But then when we would go on missions, I would shine like a star, man. Like, so I made myself invaluable to the guys who were going other places.
Yeah.
So I went on every mission we ever went on and shine. So then when we came, I was in a reserve unit, right? So when we came home, after like 4 months, I had actually got arrested for like a petty, like a misdemeanor theft charge. Like I had pawned a couple of my dad's power tools, right? Yeah. And they thought they was gonna like scare me straight by pressing charges type shit, you know?
Shit, yeah.
Which I respect, I get it.
Yeah.
And so I missed drill. So when I missed drill, we had like 3 cops in the unit. So when I missed drill, the cops told, you know, my platoon sergeant, yo, this is why White's not here. So when I came back, I was like, yo, I'm sorry. I was in jail for 5 days. The worst, it was literally after somebody's been up the road for 9.5 years, yeah. Those 5 days that I was in jail the first time was the hardest time I ever did the whole time. Because I'd never done it before. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the CO, he wanted to hammer my ass and give me like a BCD, a big chicken, you know, bad conduct discharge and yah. But all my platoon leaders and my platoon sergeants who I served under on all these missions, you know, off the base, they were like, yo, man, White's a good kid. He's just got a problem. Don't ruin the rest of his life by giving him a dishonorable. And so he gave me an other than honorable. After 6 months, it turns to an honorable if I didn't get any more trouble. I didn't. So I have an honorable discharge from the Army. I did almost right at 4 years. And, you know, everything was good. You know, I mean, like I stayed a junkie for about 3.5 years. And then I got clean for about a year before I went up the river.
How did you get clean?
I was actually living with this guy that I knew from the time I was about 16. Yeah. He was like the big boy dope man around the way type. And like, you know, obviously like around the way in Tennessee is not the same as around the way where you guys are because it's a lot tighter where y'all are. But this dude was legit the man, right? Like he was making like $85,000 a month selling weed, which is absurd. So, but he used to like to drink and go out and party and then drive his cars and crash them and fuck shit up. So he was like, yo, you're my buddy. You know, my brother knew him real well. And he knew this is like when I was 17, he knew I was kind of like a straight-laced kid. I wasn't really doing too much. He was like, oh, yo, I'll pay you like $500 a week to be my driver. So I'm taking him around to all the bars, the clubs, all this shit. I'm pulling up in like the whatever the newest whip is with the biggest wheels. I'm pulling up in that, dropping him off at the door type shit. Yeah. Literally, like any 17-year-old on the planet, like this is the dream. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm feeling like Tony Montana. Like this is the dream. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So I ended up being friends with him since I was 17. And then when I was like 22, 23, I'd always done construction my whole life. So he had just bought a house and he had a bunch of projects going on at his house. Like he wanted to build a deck. He wanted to get a shed. Like he just wanted to do all this shit, landscaping. I know how to do all that. So he's like, yo, you can live with me and do all this shit. And I'll just, you know, break you off with a little something, you know, just to keep you from being sick, really. Like he was, in all honesty, bro, like he was pimping me out for real, but I didn't have nowhere to live. I didn't have no means. I had no whip, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, cool.
Working for the time.
Yeah. So then my mom, fuck, man. I grew up a single, like I was an only child with a single mom till I was about 15. So me and my mom are like this. She's only 17 years older than I am. So she had me young. So we were like this. We grew up poor, like working poor.
Yeah.
We didn't have shit. You know, she didn't qualify for government assistance because she worked too much, but that don't mean shit when you're not making any money. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I recognized when I was about 6 years old, I recognized that she was doing everything that she knew how to do to be successful and take care of me, but she wasn't getting anywhere. So I never bitched about Walmart tennis shoes. I never bitched about like Walmart clothes. Like I got it. You know, I just took the jokes and the clowns. Like it's weird how I recognized it early on that she was doing what she could, but she couldn't do no better. You know what I mean? So I moved in with this dude, and I'm basically like his do boy, personal assistant / construction guy or whatever. And one day he goes out to the truck. He's got about 7 cars, right? He goes out to the truck. There's a note under the windshield. And she was like, she met a guy that she's still with. She's been with him for almost 21 years now. But she was like, she had left a note like, yo, Jarrett, I love you more than life itself, but I can't love you to death. Like I can't love you until you kill yourself with these drugs because my heart can't take it. And so when I saw that, I was like, I mean, it crushed my soul. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew where she was coming from. She was like, you know, I got to pick my husband because he supports me unconditionally. And you don't love me back the way I love you because you choose these drugs over me. And I can't do that. My heart can't take it. So I was like, oh, fuck. Right. So she knew a guy who ran a rehab. I called him. I was like, yo, man, I can't do this no more. So he was like, all right, cool. I'll get you in. So I went into like this 9-month inpatient. It was an 8-month program, but I stayed an extra month until I got my shit together. I mean, like a place and all that. They didn't mind because anytime I have structure in life, I do very well. But then when it's all on me, I fuck it up. I used to self-sabotage, as they say. So I went through this program. The guy who ran the program was like, yo, man, I'd really like for you to stay here. Because I was the cook. I was like the personal trainer. I was the nutrition guy. Like I really embraced it. You know what I mean? And but he was like, yo, I can't pay you anything. And I had an 8-month-old baby at the house. So I was like, oh, I got to go take care of my family. Whereas, you know, after like 5 or 6 months of being clean and out in the free world, I didn't know how to be, honestly, I didn't know how to be bored. You know what I'm saying? When you're a junkie.
Almost straight life.
Yeah. When you're a junkie and you're 23, 24 years old, you spend 5 or 6 hours a day chasing dope. So when you get clean, you got 5 or 6 extra hours in the day where you don't have anything to do. And if you don't know how to deal with that, and I know it kind of sounds like a cop out, but I'm just being honest. I didn't know what to do with all my time. I didn't know how to be like a normal square. I didn't know what normal was. I didn't know how to be bored. So I just started using again occasionally, you know, on the weekends and all that. And then obviously it turned into a shit show, robbed a couple banks, and, you know, I'm going to prison. So
that's a big leap there.
Big leap. Big leap.
That was like yada yada yada.
Robbed a bank.
Shit. All right, yo. So, I mean, obviously you've been, you know, charged on these things. So, I mean, you don't have to get in full detail, but I mean, we got to know.
Yeah, we can't go
what led up to you just robbing these banks. Like, you know, you could have went to the grocery store,
right?
Like,
no, see, and here's the thing: like, I don't have any crimes that are like unsolved to where they're like, maybe this kid did it, maybe, you know, like, so I can speak on it. I have no idea. This is the God's honest truth, right hand of God. I have no idea where the thought came from. I have no idea why I decided to do it. I had like these big picture, overall grand scheme of life things, why I did what I did and how it's affected my life to this point. But I don't know where it came from, bro. We were at an amusement park on Memorial Day, like the end of May, and I was like, yo, I'm broke and my girl don't even know I'm using again. How am I going to pay the rent on June 1st and shake all the way back and keep this lie going and yah. And this thought comes in my head out of nowhere, like, yo, bro, you could just rob a bank. And I'm like, yeah, I could rob a bank. I could do that. What's funny is like, obviously, your viewers and you guys, you've interacted with the law, been down the road, shit like that. So, how prison works. I mean, everything in prison is based on race. Like it's just what it is. Like it's not a racist thing. It's just what it is.
Yeah, politics.
So it's politics, right? So, but when I got in there, my sole mission in prison was to learn as much as I could from anyone that could teach me things about how to be a better human, about how to be a better man, learn from others' mistakes, right? So I kicked it with a lot of black dudes, and I had several white guys like, yo, especially in the feds. I've never been to state prison, which is very weird, but especially in the feds are like, yo, bro, you're kicking it with a lot of black dudes. And I'm like, yeah, get fucked. These dudes are teaching me stuff, like these are thoroughbred dudes. I'm not kicking it with the lames, just like I don't kick it with these white lames in here, which 90% of people, white dudes in the feds are fucking lames. You know what I mean? So I would talk to them, and every time I tell them I robbed a bank, they're like, yo, son, you fucking crazy ass white boy. And I'm like, yeah, it's just, I don't know, I don't know.
So hold on. So you went to court, like you jumped.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sorry, man, bro. You got to reel me in. I get out there.
All right, so you were saying that you just out of nowhere, you just was like, fucking, I'm robbing a bank. So you just literally went from the amusement park to the bank and just robbed it right there, or?
Okay, so we went to the amusement park on a Sunday, right? Memorial Day was on a Sunday, it's the first Monday of the month, something like that, right? The whole time I'm there, I'm with me, my girl, her best friend's husband, and their kid. And the whole time I'm there, all I could think about the whole time was like, I don't know how I'm gonna come out. Hold on, bub. Hold on, sorry.
I got you.
I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna shake this. Like, I don't know how, I should have like $800 and I have like 23. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna connect the dots with my old lady, Grant, I'm 20, I'm about to turn 25 in July. This is the beginning of June. So late, I'm 24, almost 25.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'll just do this. So the next morning, I worked for myself at the time. So the next morning I'm like, yo, I'll just go do this. Right. I was doing a construction project for this lady. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'll go do this and then I'll go to work, which doesn't make sense, but you make it up in your mind, how it goes. So I go, like, I had had no plan, no scope, no like intel, no surveillance, none of that stuff. So I go to one spot that I think is going to work. I sit there for like an hour trying to pump my nuts up to the point of doing it, because obviously that's a big step.
Yeah.
I sit there for like an hour and I see like, yo, this isn't going to work. I'm like, oh, fuck it, man. It's just, I'm not doing it. I'm out. So then as I'm driving like towards work, I see this bank and there's no one there. No one. I'm like, well, fuck it. I'll shoot my shot. So I go down the road. I got my little, I got like this outfit on that covered, it's a long sleeve shirt, jeans, high top sneakers. I got a hat on, like I got a mask, I got all this stuff. So I'm like, okay. I go take my license plates off the car or the truck or whatever, come back, just go in, say, yo, give me the money. They give it to me. I leave, I get down the road, put my license plate back on, take my whole outfit off into a completely had a black shirt on. I put a white shirt on, had short jeans on. I put shorts on. I tied all those clothes up, threw them in like this ditch, right, in these woods. Like no one's ever even found those clothes since then, 11 years later. And I got it. Like I got it off. I couldn't believe it. My heart's going crazy. I couldn't believe I just done it. We had a detached garage on my house. So I pull into my house. My girl's still in bed. It's like 9:30 in the morning. I go in the garage and, I close the door, lock the door, and I just lean up against the door like, holy shit. Like, bro, what did you just do? Like, oh my God. And that's when it really hit me, right? And I pull out this knot, right? It's like, it's legit like this, right? Because it's the lady, now the teller, she was slick. She was trying to give me like 1s and 5s and 10s and shit. Like she didn't want to give me the money, but the bank rules say if somebody says something to you, you got to do it. Because if somebody gets killed because you say no, it's on them. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, yo, lady, hundreds. So she starts like laying them out. Blah, blah, blah. So I got like 60 and like 6,200. It wasn't nothing, right? But if you're a junkie and you have $23, 6,200 is a lick. Yes. So I hide all the money but like 300, right? I go to work, or I call the dope man. Let me back up. I call the dope man on the way to work because I mean we're not gonna not do dope when you're a junkie, especially if you hit something like that. Oh yeah. And everything, everything just falls in place. So then like, bro, this is what's crazy. I run into a guy I haven't seen in 9 years that day. And I'm like, yo, bro, how you been, man? Where you been? I ain't seen you in a long time. And he was like, nah, bro, I just got home like a year ago from the joint. Remember me and dude robbed them pharmacies and we went to the state joint for like 8 years. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I was like, what do you do now? He's like, well, I sell dope. And I'm like, oh, do you? Yeah. Now, I haven't seen this dude in 8 years, right? And I'm like, well, what kind of dope you sell? He's like, I sell pills. I'm like, what do you? Matter of fact, I'm in that same line of work, like. So I fire up this conversation with him and he instantly becomes the plug, right? Because I used to deal with him like in high school. Yeah. So we go for like 8-9 days. I'm just doing an absurd amount of pills, man. Like it was literally absurd. I reflect back on it and I'm like, that's just absurd what I was doing.
Yeah, that money.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is like he's giving them to me for half the price. So if it's like $30, he's getting them to me for 15. So now I'm making moves and like connecting people and I'm the it's bullshit. Yeah. But yeah, I was making moves. So like 9 days later, I'm like, yo, you know what I could, when I went broke, right? Because I'm spending like $500 a day on drugs. Yeah. I'm like, you know what I could do? I could rob the same bank again. And I was like, cool, let's do that because now I know the layout. They're not going to be expecting it because I just did it. Yeah. And I do.
How much? Right? What type of time frame was that?
8 days.
8 days? Oh,
8 days.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they might not be expecting it. Yeah, but
they might be. So what's so great is this is what I love, right? Because I've told this story 100 times to dudes I was locked up with. Yeah. Their reactions were identical to your reactions. That's the best part. Like they were like, yo, son is wilding, dude. This white boy is insane. Yeah. Yo, because that's what you're thinking. Like a month, maybe 2 months.
Yo, I thought because when I got locked up, we did like 4 robberies in one night. So right. I'm laughing because I understand the mind frame that you're in at that time.
Right.
I got away with it. Fuck it.
And like I'm more of a, I was just drinking and smoking weed, but I ain't have money. So, I still got to be able to support my habit. So
right.
Kind of like the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but I had that that's why I'm laughing because he was thinking the same thing that night. He was like, shit, we got away with 2 Fuck it, let's do 2 more.
Fuck it, let's do 3. Let's do fuck it. We got away with 3. Let's do 1 more. Fuck it.
Always
Right.
have one more that gets you, yo. That one more, yo.
I never thought of it like that until he said, like, as he said, I'm like, yo, wait a minute. This sounds really familiar. Like, and I'm playing it in my head. I'm like, yo, wait a minute. I kind of did the same shit.
Yeah.
Just did it in a matter of a 2-hour span. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Whereas like, and I had like this weird moral code. Like I didn't want to rob people, right? But like, fuck the man, you know what I mean? The bank is insured. They're straight. They're going to get their money back. You know, I don't want to like screw over like a working man or, you know what I'm saying? So in my mind, it was like, oh, this makes sense. And like, so this is what's crazy. And this is, and one thing I did in prison, man, the day I got arrested, the day I got arrested, my whole life changed, not only because I went to prison, but because literally my entire mindset flipped. It completely changed the day I got arrested. Like, yo, I just threw my life away and my life is over. And so the day I was like, yo, I'm going to go bust this bank, right? My mom was like, hey, can you come by the house and drop something off? Because she thought I was clean. Everybody thought I was clean. No one knew I'd done it. No one knew anything. And so I was like, yeah, sure. So I'll go by my mom's house and I'm like, yo, my mom and my dad have these motorcycles, right? And a motorcycle will be better to get away on, you know what I'm saying? Like I start doing this whole dumbass junky logic math equation. So I'm like, all right, cool. I swing by this, and the cop, this is what's funny, is the cop, when I got arrested, the cop was like, yo, bro, that was brilliant. What you tried to do was brilliant, right? So my mom had this, my dad had like a Ninja, right? It was, I'm sorry, not a Ninja, but it's a GSXR 1000, right? Crotch rocket street bike. Yeah. My mom had like this Suzuki 600 that was like a street bike / touring bike, right? So it still handled and was quick, but it wasn't like a Ninja. I couldn't ride a Ninja well, but I could ride my mom's bike well. Yeah. So her bike was white and blue. I go by this place that I used to get vinyl stickers for my little Honda car club, right? I'm like, yo, let me get 5 yards of black vinyl. It's like a 5 yard long, 18 inches wide vinyl strip, right? The bike's white and blue. I wrap the whole thing in flat black vinyl, right? But I leave like these 3-inch pull tabs, like where I can grab it and rip it off. Now my thought process is like, yo, I'll make it to where I got these pull tabs on it. I'll rob the bank, get away, and rip this black vinyl off of the fairings, so the bike goes from black to white and blue in less than 30 seconds, right? So even if they see a dude on a bike, they won't think, I had it on my helmet and everything, they won't think, yo, that's the dude that robbed the bank, because this is a completely different bike. You know what I'm saying? Yes, oh yeah. I mean, so, but as I'm walking out the door of my mom's house, I know my mom and my dad both keep pistols in the house. So I'm like, yo, let me take a gun. Now I know for a fact I don't need a gun, because I've already done it. Yeah. But my brain was like, yo, take a gun. And I'm like, yeah, brain, we'll take. I feel like little Dicky, you know, brain. You know what I'm talking about? Where I'm like, yo, let's do that. Yeah. So I grabbed like this little revolver, right? It's a little 38, little 5-shot 38. But you know, a gun changes things. Like you put a gun on somebody, it changes everything. Because I've had a gun pulled on me 2 times. It changes everything. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll take this strap. That's fine. I never in my life have I carried a strap in the United States. I carry, you know, obviously overseas is what it is, but not in the States. So I'm like, all right, cool. I got the backpack on the front with the strap in it, doing all that. Got the, you know, I go in the bank, pull the gun, like, you know, it's easy. Same thing, just like the first time. And this is what I tell people when they pull capers, right? Your man will tell you, because he's pulled 4 capers in one night, which is, to me, feels crazy, but also my shit sounds crazy to him. Yeah. When you pull a caper, the hardest thing to reconcile with is the fact that no one in the world knows you did it but you. And then if you have people with you, they know you did it. Yep. right? So when you come out of the bank, you feel like the whole world knows you just did it. But if you keep it calm, no one will ever know. No one.
Yeah.
So, right, I come out, I leave the bike running, I come out, hop on, cut the corner, and I take off like 100 miles an hour. Right? So I'm like, oh, I'm cool, I'm clean, I got away. So I go down this little street, and where I stop at, it's like this weird intersection that where when the cars that are coming across the intersection, they feel like they're supposed to stop because it's a blind corner.
Yeah.
But they don't have a stop sign, right? But you can't see around the corner, so you think you're supposed to stop.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So I pull up to the intersection, and this Ford SVT Lightning truck pulls up, right? You know, like the super fast Ford trucks from the early 2000s.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he pulls up and stops, and he's all casual on the phone, like, you know, like he's just talking. He's like, yeah, bro, go ahead. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, I'll wait. All right, cool. Because now I'm doing like 30 miles an hour, keeping it cool.
Did you peel the stickers off already?
No, not yet. I'm gonna do this at like 2 intersections away because we're starting to get out in the sticks, right?
Yeah.
So this dude's like, yo, bro, go ahead. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm just cruising, right? And I make like 6 turns, and this truck's behind me the whole time. And then I'm like, this is odd because we're in places that he should have turned already, right? Yeah. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I go to turn left. This dude pulls up on my left side and blocks me, right? So, and he's still on his phone, and now he's got this look like this. Like, so I know this dude knows what I just did. I don't know how he knows. I don't know how we got in this. I don't know how we got to where we are now, but I know he knows, and he's talking to the cops, right? So I turn right. Now, this is the fatal error. I turn right, and I don't know where turning right takes me. Yeah. I have no clue. So now we're back here in the sticks, and it's like left, right, up, down. I mean, it's like this crazy route to whereas I can't get away from this dude because his truck has a turbo and it's quick enough to stay with me in a tight space, right? And now I'm not like some, Moto X racer, so I'm not great on a bike. I'm probably like a 6 out of 10. Yeah. So now I'm trying to run from him, right? I'm going. I crashed the bike, but I get it up and get it going before he gets on me. And now I'm like, oh, my life's over. I already knew my life was over. I already knew. I'm supposed to be meeting my old lady for lunch. Dang. And my daughter, I'm going to go home and eat lunch with my daughter and my girl. But now my life is over. So I'm like, okay, cool. So now I'm taking off, right? And I'm zooming through these backwoods country roads. And it's hard to describe on a Zoom call, but yeah. So I'm coming around this hard left corner, right? It's like a corner like this. Yeah. So I'm coming around this corner, and then I can see the road off to my right, right? So it's straight. So I'm thinking I go around this corner, and then I'm there. Yeah. All right. But I get halfway through the corner, and I realize it's an S curve and not just a C curve, right? So I go right, and then I'm like, oh shit, because I'm scared. My heart's pumping. I'm going too fast. So I lean over, and now I'm trying to get into it. But I'm going too fast, and I'm not it's hard for me to put my knee on the ground because it scares me. Yeah. So I'm trying to lean over into it, but I don't lean far enough. So gravity, if you're leaning right, but you're not going fast enough, and you're rolling on the throttle, it wants to flare you out to the left, right? Gravity wants to throw you to the left. So that's why you have to lean in the turns. So I barely get out of the turn, but it throws me so far left. There's another road that comes into the road I was on, and it has like a 2-foot asphalt turn down right where the roads meet for like a drainage ditch. So I drop off the map, hit this fucking 2-foot turn down head on, and I just start doing flips, bro. Like my helmet breaks on the first. I don't know how it broke. I still don't, to this day, 11 years later, I still don't know how my helmet broke. I do 1 front flip, helmet breaks, 2, 3, 4, and then I land on my face and slide face first for about 40 feet, right? So, but the adrenaline is the only thing keeping me going. I got these high top Chuck Taylors on. My right ankle is broken to pieces, but I got my shoes tied up so tight, it's holding it together, right? So that the adrenaline, all this is holding it together. I hop up. And like when you look down, you can see your nose, right?
Yeah.
And I look down and and it feels like all my teeth are gone. And then I look down and all I can see is like blood and like I don't have no skin on my nose, right? So I'm thinking my whole face is gone. I'm thinking I'm fucked.
Yeah.
You know, the bike's crashed. So they're gonna run they're gonna find the plate for the bike in my bag. They're gonna find the gun, run the serial number. All this is running through my mind, like, yo, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
I crash, I hop up, I look back. Here's like this 45-year-old obese white dude standing in the middle of the road, like 50 feet away, like, freeze. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm not freezing. Right. So I hop this fence, this barbed wire fence, and I'm running through this field. Right. I'm just like, my life's over. You know, I know my life is going to be over within the next 12, anywhere between 5 minutes and 24 hours. I know they're going to put it all together. Right.
Yeah.
So I take off running. Keep running. I'm running through the woods. My girl's blowing my phone up because I'm like 30 minutes late for lunch, right? I answer the phone. This is like back in the BlackBerry days, right? 2010. Like I was late to the game on the smartphones. I finally answer the phone. She's like, where you at? I'm like, yo, babe, listen. I don't have time to talk. Just know that I'm sorry and know that I love you and know that I love our daughter more than anything in this world. She's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I don't have time to explain it. Just know that I'm sorry. And I love you. That's it. Right. So I end the call and then I throw the phone, right. Cause it's got like 9 drug dealers numbers in there. And one thing J-Dub ain't, and that's a motherfucking snitch. Right. So I throw this motherfucker, right. Cause it's got text like, yo, where's the dope and all that shit. And I keep running and I hit this creek, right. Like the creek that I actually drove over. But there's this creek. It's about 12 feet wide, probably 3, 4, 5 feet deep. It's June 10th. It's hot. You know, we're in the South. It's in June. It's fucking hot.
Yeah, I live in Atlanta now, so.
Okay, so in June it's fucking hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hot in fucking April. You know what I mean, bro? When I say it's about 100 degrees outside, I hit this creek, right? I'm like, fuck it. I'm just gonna jump in this creek because I know I'm not gonna go swimming anytime soon.
Yeah,
bro. When I hit that cold water, it killed everything. It killed the adrenaline. It killed it just killed everything, bro. I'm dead. Like my body's like, yo, it's over. You're done. I couldn't run more. My ankle was broken 4 places. The bones of my feet were broken 4 places. I had a break in my ankle. I had road rash on 40% of my body. But when I hit this cold water, it was just like, oh God. So I just laid there, bro. And finally this fat bitch comes running down the street like, stop, freeze. And I'm like, bro, I'm not going nowhere. You got me. I'm not going nowhere.
You could have turned around and shot his ass, yeah.
No, bro, the gun was in my bag.
He didn't know. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know anything.
Oh no, bro. This dude was a fucking superhero, man. He was so I'm running, right? I hit this creek. He's like, freeze. He's got his gun out. I'm like, bro, I don't got no weapon. I'm good. I'm here. Call your friends. Yeah. Right. So where I crawl out of the creek at, there's no way to get to me easily, right? Because it's like a steep slope like this, and then there's barbed wire at the bottom. So I start hearing the cop cars, the ambulance, the fire, first responders, right? I hear all this shit. They're all sliding in like I'm, murdering people and shit. And I'm literally laying on the ground like this. Right, face down, both hands above my head, arms extended, right? Because I'm not one of those dudes who fucks with cops, and then when the cop says freeze or stop resisting, like I'm like this.
Yeah.
Because I know they got the power, so I'm gonna respect the power because I don't want to get killed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I lay down flat. The cops, there's like 5 cops on the bridge. They're like, freeze, motherfucker. And I'm like, bro, I haven't moved in 6 minutes. I'm not going nowhere. Like, you got me, boys. You'll win. Right. So now they're trying to get down to me because they're all cranked up responding to an armed bank robbery. Right. So their adrenaline is pumping and all that shit. So it takes, I'm not kidding you, man. I wish more than anything I had a video of this. It takes them like 4 minutes to get down to me. Right. But they're like, covering concealment positions, like, oh, we're gonna fucking kill him if he does. I'm like, bro, y'all ain't killing me. I'm good, right? I'm not moving.
My fucking ankle is broken. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah.
I got road rash on 40% of my body. I feel terrible. My life's over. You win. I lose. That's what it is. So they finally get down to me. The cop handcuffs me, right? And he's all gung-ho, fucking get up, do this, do that. I'm like, I can't get up. I can't walk. He's like, yeah, you can. You fucking ran all this way. I was like, I did run all this way, but I can't now because all that emotion and adrenaline, that's past. Yeah. So I can't move. And so he tries this, you know how they pick you up by the handcuffs. So you got to get up. Yeah. Right. Cause your shoulders are all, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I try to get up. I take one step, boom, I'm down. So now they got to call. And now they're pissed, bro. They if they could beat the shit out of me, they would have beat the shit out of me. But there's too many people on scene now. There's like 9 people. Yeah. So the ambulance comes, the fire truck comes. They pass the body, you know, the board down, like, you know, with the neck brace and the flat board, the hard plastic one and shit. They put me on that, and there's literally 30 cops, right? 15 on each side passing me up the hill, right? They're fucking pissed. And I love it, right? Because the one dude's a dickhead and I love it. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, good job, boys. Doing good. Earning that money today, boys. Right? Because my life's over. You know, I never been to prison. So I don't armed bank robbery in my mind is like 25 years. I'm gone for the rest of my life. You know, you know how you do when you're young. And we can speak on that in a second about how if you don't know the culture, how it works, you fucking, you know, so they passed me up to the top, right? And now this is the kicker, right? So my dad is a firefighter, right? I call him my dad because he came into my life when I was 15, and he was more of a father to me than my real dad was ever. So I've called him my dad since probably I was 18 years old. Yeah. Like this dude signed up for an assignment that he had no business signing up for, right? You know, like I stole his power tools. I, you know, fucked him over. I broke my mom's heart on multiple occasions. Like in all intents and purposes, he should hate my guts and he would be justified in doing so. Yeah. But he didn't. He loved me the whole time, right? You know, he was like, I get it, kid. You're fucked up. I don't understand addiction. It's just stop. He was one of those guys that's like, yo, just stop doing it. Yeah. And I'm like, this is not how it works. Yeah. So I'm like, yo, hey fellas. And you know, I'm handcuffed. I'm on the body board. I'm strapped down like three different ways. And I got the neck brace on, right? Because, you know, I might have some TBIs or whatever. And I'm like, yo, fellas. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, yo, does anybody know Michael Allison? And when I said that, everybody was like, oh, how do you know him? I'm like, yo, that's my dad. Just, can you please call him and just let him know what's going on? So, you know what I'm saying? So like my mom, so they know, yes. So they don't have to hear from me 2 days later from jail. Yeah. So this dude's like, yeah, I know him. And I'm like, cool. Can you please just call him in? I'm sorry. Can you just let him know what's going on? And they're like, oh shit, this kid's not a bad kid. He's just an idiot. Yeah. So they go to put me in the ambulance, right? And the cops are like, we'll go with him. We'll keep him straight. And then the lady in the ambulance is like, are you going to give me any fucking problems? Are you going to cause me any trouble? And yeah. Do I need these fucking cops with me? And yeah. And I'm like, no, ma'am, I'm not. I'm caught. I'm not going to do anything. I'm sorry. You know, I didn't mean to, you know, whatever. I'm immediately apologetic because in my heart, I know I'm in the wrong. And so she's like, it's fine, boys. I got him. Don't you fucking worry about him. I'll take care of him. Yeah. Right. So they put me in the ambulance. They closed the doors. And this lady, and this broke my heart. When she did it, I literally started crying. She was like, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I have to act like that with those guys because they're all cranked up and I get it, but that's not me. I'm not a mean lady. I'm a grandmother. If you're not going to cause me any problems, I'm here to make sure you don't die and you're okay. And I was like, oh, fuck, Granny, why are you going to do me like that, man? Well, come on, man. Yeah. You know, like being a gangster out here and shit, man. You know, and so, you know, so we go to the hospital, and then the only good thing about that, there's two good things about me getting in that terrible motorcycle wreck when I got arrested. One, my body was so broke down that I slept for about 4 or 5 days in the jail. So I got like the withdrawals out of my system through sleeping. Like I didn't go through the withdrawals because I was asleep. And two, if I don't get in that terrible motorcycle wreck and I just get pinched, my family's not going to understand the desperation that I had in my heart to do those things. They're just going to be like, you're a fuckhead. Why'd you do that? Whereas they see me risking my body or my life for these drugs. So then my mom and my dad and everybody else is like, oh, it's really a bad thing. Like you felt like you were at that point, like you had to do that. So, and I'm sorry, man, I get on these rants and I'll talk for 20 minutes uninterrupted.
It's therapy, man. It's
therapy, man. Trust me. I would have stopped you if it was a problem.
But I mean, so, you know, like I said, like I've been arrested 3 times in my life, man. The first time I got arrested, I was there for 5 days. My best friend actually bonded me out while my old lady was junked out and kept using instead of getting me out. My friend went through withdrawals to save enough money to get me out of prison, out of jail. The second time I got arrested for like 3 days. No, I'm sorry. First time was 5 days. The second time was 19 days. The third time was 9.5 calendar years. So like, I didn't have an extensive history with, you know, most guys who get locked up and go to the feds for 11 years, they've been to state prison. They've been locked up 4, 5, 6, 7 times in the county. I didn't have that. So you know, it was all new to me. But the first day I got there, once my body, after 4 or 5 days, my teeth, my front 6 teeth were all loose. Like they were swinging like this. And I just knew, I was like, okay, so I'm going to prison, missing my front 6 teeth, looking like a sea sucker, if you know what I'm saying. You know, I'm gonna have to kill somebody when I get there, because all I've ever seen from prison is movies and TV shows. But my teeth tightened up. You know, my body, after a week, my body was okay. And then, you know, I was like, but from that point forward, all I thought about was, you've thrown your life away. So if you don't learn anything from this.
Did you take like a plea deal?
Okay, so I got charged with bank robbery, armed bank robbery. And then I got charged with a 924C, felon in possession of a firearm, felon in possession of a firearm with a brandishing attachment, right? Which we know is an automatic 7, automatic, because I pointed at people, right? I didn't discharge, I pointed it. So it goes, you know, if you have it, it's 5. If you brandish it, it's 7. If you discharge, it's 10, automatic. And then I got charged with brandishing, and I got charged with possession. So if you guys, I'm sure you do know how the feds work. The feds will charge you with like 17 things just so you cop to like 2 or 3 things, right? So I copped to bank robbery, armed bank robbery, brandishing of a firearm by a convicted felon. So I got 100. It's 84 months automatic, 7 years automatic for brandishing. You know, it's consecutive, not concurrent when you have a firearm in the feds, right? So 7 years the base, right? And then so the bank robbery was the 2, which is crazy, because if you rob banks with no gun, you really don't get in that much trouble. It's a level 20 crime compared to like a drug dealer, which is a level 33 to 35, which is insane, right? But so I got the 7 years, and then the minimum sentence I could have got for the 2 bank robberies was 44 months. The judge made it 48 months just to make it an even number, because I'd done it twice, you know, but so I did cop, right? Everybody cops in the feds, you know, 99% of us cop in the feds, because if I didn't cop, this is no bullshit, because I asked 2 different lawyers, my lawyer and another lawyer. He was like, bro, if you don't take a plea deal, you're going to get like 35 years. If you do play a plea deal, you'll get 11. And, you know, so when I go, when the ambulance takes me to the hospital, right, I'm still on the board, right? Then they put me on the gurney. I'm butt naked because I was soaking wet. So they cut my clothes off. You know, hospitals are about 53 fucking degrees. So I'm freezing to death. You know, and I'm handcuffed to a bed. I got the neck thing on. So I'm like, ugh, right. So I'm sitting there, and then out of nowhere, this fucking 47-year-old white guy comes in. He's got like a tweed jacket on with like the suede elbow patches and some slacks. He's like, hello, Mr. White. And my name's Mr. Farmer. I'm with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, fuck, man, here we go. Now, I haven't even had an MRI. You know, I might be concussed. My brain might be bleeding, all this shit, right? So I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, so you robbed a bank today? And I'm like, yeah, I did. You know, because obviously I can cop to that because, you know, I got caught in the act. Right now, also from the ambulance ride to the hospital is about 25 minutes. So now I'm thinking, like, we're thinking FBI terms, right? You know, like, how's this going? Yeah. I'm thinking, well, if I don't cop to the first one, it's going to bite me in the ass to the second one. And literally, once they have a suspect identified, it would, just a normal guy, it would take me about 25 minutes to link me to the first one once I know who to look at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's like, okay, so what about the robbery on June 1st at the same bank? Do you know anything about that? I'm like, yep, did it. I did it.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, okay, cool. What about these gas station robberies back east? And I'm like, bro, I'm in Tennessee. Like, I don't know where back east is. There's no, North Carolina is the only east thing from me. Like, and no, I didn't fucking rob no gas stations, right? I'm like a bank robber. You know what I mean? Not like I'm some cool guy, but like I didn't do that. And you're not going to hang that on me, So he was like, okay, cool. Right. So he leaves. So he's like, we'll be in touch. Now I had a warrant. Excuse me, man. I'm just making another drink right quick. I had a warrant from the state of Tennessee for absconding for probation, right? I tried to report to probation when I was a junkie, and the lady was like, oh, you came too late. I don't have time to talk to you. I'm like, lady, I don't have a car. I have no way to get here. Like, I can't just keep taking 2.5 hours worth of bus rides to get over to this shitty side of town and talk about probation shit. You know what I mean? So I was like, fuck it, I'm not going. So I was on misdemeanor probation, but I never went.
Yeah.
So when they booked me, they actually only booked me on the probation violation, right? So now I'm kind of jumping around, but let's go back to where I'm in the gurney, handcuffed, neck brace on, right?
Yeah.
Only thing I can see is directly above me like this, right?
Yeah.
So now where I asked those dudes to like, yo, can you tell my dad that I'm here? What had happened was my dad got the phone call. My dad goes to my mom's office. She was working at an internet company, right? She was doing she was the accountant for a marketing company on the internet. My dad told me the story years later. He goes in, closes the door. She's like, hey babe, what's going on? He's like, my mom's name's Kara. He was like, Kara, listen to me. I know this isn't going to make sense, but this is what's happening. Jared's under arrest for robbing a bank. And she was like, what? Yeah. Like, I just talked to Jared yesterday. Like, what are you talking about? Right. So now I'm at this hospital. I'm at UT hospital. Only thing I can see is directly above me. Right. Cause my neck is all, braced up. And I'll never forget this till the day I die, because it broke my heart to a million pieces. I'm laying there butt naked, freezing to death. I just told this FBI guy I robbed 2 banks. I know I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. In my head, I'm going the rest of my life. I'm going to prison. Literally, I'm not kidding, bro. Literally, all I see, I'm laying here like this, right? My mom's head right here. Hadn't talked to her, nothing. I'm strapped to this gurney. Just threw my life away. My mom's face is literally face to face, 6 inches away, and she's crying. And it's fucking literally dripping on my face. Like, I love you. I don't know what you did. And I'm like, oh my God. So, I mean, just imagine that. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, imagine if your mom or your aunt or your granny, whoever, anybody raised you, the most important part of your life is this far above your face, and their tears are dripping on your face. And she's just like, I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry. I love you. And I was like, oh, I'm broke. I'm broken. I'm dead. Life's over.
Yeah.
Cause I knew I broke her heart. You know what I'm saying? And she's a single mom. So it's like,
yeah. I get it.
It just killed me.
Yeah.
So then and that's when I really made the decision, like, yo, regardless if I'm gone for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, I'm going to come out on the other side a better person, because I've literally just killed this woman. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so she does that. Then the Fed guy circles back around. He comes in. He's like, yo, man, just letting you know, you're going to go to prison forever. And, he's playing the game, right? He's kind of cool because his sister is actually my dad's partner at the fire department. So he's kind of playing it cool, but he's doing his Fed shit because they're assholes, And he's like, hey, man.
Your camera's off, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
My bad, brother. It's a low battery. So he says, he was like, hey man, just so you know, you're about to be gone forever, but because he asked me like, why did you do it? And I'm like, why does anybody do anything, man? Drugs. That's the only reason anybody does anything, whether they sell them, whether they do them. 85% of people in prison are there for drugs, either selling them, doing them, importing them, exporting them. It's the base of everything, right? And he was like, well, what you could do? And I was like, oh, what's that? Right. Because I'm kind of, I'm over him. Right. He's like, you know what you could do? And I'm like, what's that, bro? And he was like, you could help yourself. And I'm like, help myself, huh? And how would I do that? He was like, well, I mean, if you were doing drugs, you were buying drugs from people, people who sell drugs. Like, you know what, dude, get fucked. Get out of here. Right. And like I said, I've never been to prison. So, but I know, I've seen The Sopranos. We don't rat, like we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. I'm not doing that. Like, them dudes ain't got nothing to do with me doing what I did. Exactly. And I know how terrible I feel right now. Why would I want to do that to them? Like, dude. And this is what I told him when he was walking. I was like, hey, man. He's like, what's up? I was like, do your fucking job, man. That's what you do. Your job. You want to find a drug dealer? Go find them, man. Yeah. And this is my God's honest opinion, man. I think the Federal Bureau of Investigations has not done they have not done any investigation work since 1997. They've been running off fucking snitches, referrals since then. They ain't done a fucking investigation since, man. Yep. And that shit makes me sick. I mean, like, if you want to, you bust a drug dealer, bust one. Do what you do. Yeah. When you these little assholes telling, oh, I got 3 years, let me tell on 9 people. Like, come on, man, get fucked.
Still go to jail. You still gonna do time.
You're still going to jail, bro. That's the
worse
thing.
On yourself. Completely worse.
And then, like, I'm 25. The only reason I didn't go to a USP is because I had no criminal history. But do you know what happens when you're 25 years old and you go to the USP and you're a fucking rat? Well, it ain't good.
Yeah.
In my country vernacular, it ain't good.
Yeah.
Your shit's getting fucking blown out because I've seen it dozens of times. Dudes are blowing your shit wide open because they're not going home because of people like you. I'm not doing that.
Yep. So what was day one like, man? What was it like walking through, like the ride up to the prison, the intake?
You ain't even gonna believe this, man. And this is the craziest thing.